Hello, 你好，欢迎回来. Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. Voice is still a little bit rough, so we are going to have a slightly shorter than normal episode, but hopefully still packed with interesting uh, information about Chinese culture. Kind of interesting, strange, isn't it? Like how Wisdom Wednesday seem to be mostly just like Asian Wednesday. Um, Well, the reason being, this is more to reflect a segment in the Johnny Tiger Experience podcast. We had we had a couple of segments in Johnny Tiger Experience podcast. One was called Mandarin 101, where I actually teach more vocabularies, sentence structures, and the other one was the what was it? Uh, Melodies of the Orient, where I showcase a lot of Chinese music. And then one more was
Tales from the Far East.
Tales from the Far East. That's Kitten's favorite one.
Yes.
She liked bedtime stories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those were a little bit similar to our Wisdom Wednesday, where I actually tell really details, detailed Chinese folklore and complete with sound effects and stuff like that. And so obviously I can't get all that replicated here on the channel. So we kind of combined it all into one more educational uh, segment called Wisdom Wednesday. So yeah, that is the thought process behind Wisdom Wednesday. Today's date is August 17, 2022. Like I said, throat is still feeling a bit raw. I don't know, like during the day I'm okay, but at night I just can't seem to stop coughing. It's really annoying. So we're going to do something a little bit short. We're going to talk about gorgeous Chinese instrument today that a lot of you might have heard of, or you might even have seen it on TV, or I bet you would have heard it in Chinese movies because it's very stereotypical. But let's have a listen first so you know what I'm talking about. Alexa, resume. Listen to that string instrument with that beautiful staccato strumming. Okay, now the erhu came in, so uh, we can start talking a little bit. That string instrument in the beginning uh, is called a gulching, meaning ancient Chinese harp or ancient harp. Now, a lot of people I know like to pronounce that gusting or gutting or gutsing, all kind of weird pronunciation, but the proper way to pronounce this is a guqin, like gu, like Goo, and then qin, Ching. Now that's the kind of pronunciation that would be more close to what it's supposed to be. Um, it is one of the oldest string instrument Chinese people has invented. The guqin has been around for over 3,000 years. Crazy that they had something this amazing 3,000 years ago. Um, it is like a small harp, like a cross between a harp and a guitar. And I mean, it's seen a little bit of revival today. There are Chinese orchestras that definitely have players that play guqin today. Um, it is the one instrument that if you say to yourself, I want to learn an instrument that symbolizes Chinese culture, that symbolizes my love for Chinese culture, gulching would be the top pick for that instrument. That is the soul and heart and blood of Chinese music. Because, like I said, it was one of the oldest Chinese string instrument. It's been around for over 3,000 years. And because it is so old and such has such a high standard, high status among musical instruments in China. Guqin has always been something of, uh, you can say, a little bit of a noble instrument. Uh, it is not like a guitar where you just carry with you and then you take it out and play whenever you feel like. Right? And nothing against guitar. You guys know I love guitar, right? But a guqin is a completely different class, right, of the instrument in the sense that you can't just take it out and practice or play whenever you want. If you are trained in the art of how to play guqin, you would be familiar that traditionally there were five major don'ts in playing Gujin. The five major incidents, the five major uh, circumstances that you wouldn't be allowed to play a Gujin. Now, with that said, of course, we are in 2022, so if you buy one and you have one at home, and you feel like playing it whenever, however, it's your freedom. Like no one's going to throw you in jail for doing it. Um, but if you are involved with a actual training program, a train taught by a traditional teacher, then you would have been told these rules. And to break these rules is quite taboo among Guqin players. So rule number one, no playing when it's raining outside. Oh, so traditionally, guqin is a kind of instrument that have to go with beautiful weather. So if it's storming, raining, thundering, whatever outside, no playing. Sorry, concert is canceled. No matter how much money you were paid, you cannot play when the weather is bad outside. It's against the tradition. Rule number two, a guqin is never played in a crowd. So again, we go back to guitar, banjo, you say even Chinese instrument like flute. A lot of time you'll see people play these instruments at the marketplaces, making money. So a lot of these instruments, if you can play it at the marketplace, you can play it on the side of the road, you can play it outside, uh, in front of a coffee shop, you can play it in the shopping center. Guqin, no. No playing in the crowd. So if for Guqin, you can play for a small group of people in a properly designated place for your uh, where everyone is just sitting and listening to you. You cannot play at a coffee shop. You cannot play it if, at the outdoor venue like that. You can only play it for a very in a very specialized, intimate setting. So, uh, as one Guqin artist once said, uh, to play a gulching in the crowd, or in that kind of unruly public setting, it's amount to taking off your clothes in those settings. Gulching is supposed to be something very intimate, very serious. Rule number three, you cannot play gulching for people who are not connoisseurs. So a lot of artists back then, this was a big one. People actually died for this one, right? Sometimes a musician would get contracted by the emperor or one of the noble people and say, "Hey, I'm having a birthday tomorrow, and I would like you to come. I heard that you are like fantastic on the gulching. I would like you to come and play." But because of the rule number three, you cannot play for people who are not connoisseurs. Some artists who are really serious about their craft would actually turn down the offer, would say no, even to the emperor, uh, and say, "I cannot play for you because you do not understand my music. You're basically my music is too good for you." And then sometimes these kind of rejections would lead to severe consequences where the musician end up getting executed. So this rule was so serious, and yet so many people still abide by it because they felt so proud of this instrument, this tradition. Now, with that said, luckily, luckily, this did not happen very often because most of the time, uh, an emperor would have been schooled and groomed in the art of gulching. It is one of the four major skills a nobleman back then in the old days needed to have to be a perfect gentleman. You need to know how to play the gulching. You needed to know how to play Chinese checker. You need to know how to read and write, and then you needed to know how to draw. So these were the four scholarly skills that any high-ranking imperials and nobles needed to have. So most of the time they were connoisseurs. Um, so this rule number three, you cannot play for people who are not connoisseurs. So you can't just have a couple of friends over here and then you say, "Hey, look at this new Gucci I bought. Let me show you this song." No, because again, this will be like showing your private parts to complete strangers. Like Gucci is so intimate an instrument that you only play it for people who appreciate it. So yeah. Um, Now we're going on to rule number four. Uh, Actually, that was I think that was rule number four. Uh, so we have do not play when the weather is bad. We have do not play in a crowded place in the crowd. We have do not play for non-connoisseurs, and now we have do not play until you have uh, cleansed yourself. So Guqin was such a ceremonial instrument that you could not touch your instrument until you've bathed and washed and take care of all the hygiene. When you sit down, uh, when you take that Guqin out of the case, you don't actually sit down. When you take it out of the case and get ready to play, uh, you need to be absolutely clean, pure. You can't just like just have had dinner and then go and try to play your guqin. You have to clean yourself before you do that. Last but not least, number five. I just kind of reminded myself there. Number five, never play your gulching sitting down or in any position other than standing. You need to, again, remember gulching is a very intimate, very serious, very ceremonial instrument. So when you play it, you got to pay the instrument its proper due. You got to stand and stand properly. You can't be standing there and shaking your leg and bouncing up and down. No. Okay, if you train in the Guqin school, and if the teacher see that you even have a slouch when you stand and play, you will get smacked in the back of the head. Uh, so yeah, do not play when the weather is bad. Do not play in a crowd. Do not play for non-connoisseurs. Do not play when you are not standing, and do not play when you are dirty. Those are the five big taboos, big no-nos in playing Guqin. Like I said, a lot of you that play this today, obviously, you have your freedom, and if you bought the instrument, you play however you like. But if you go and learn this at an actual school, then most likely you would have to obey these rules as well. Um, Guqin was also one of the earliest reasons for Chinese people to invent fake nails. Um, the fake nails we see today are just like nail-like thing you put on the top of your nail. You glue them down to like a nail extension or different designs. Back then, these things were made to play string instruments, so you wouldn't be messing up your nail. Um, Most musicians that play guqin would have a set of fake nails that they carry with them, and necessary uh, uh, solution or glue to glue them down with, and then the chemical you needed to remove them afterward. Uh, some of the more poor musicians have fake nails made from duck bones because duck bones were said to be better than chicken bones and more flexible and wouldn't break so easily. But when you go into the higher ranks, then you have people who have fake nails made of jade, chips of silver, all kind of different metal. Wood was, of course, very, very popular. There was a very creepy subset of people, even still existing today. And this is an underground, like black market thing. If you can get a set of fake nail for playing guqin that's made of human bone, yeah, not keep this in mind. I'm not saying human nails. They actually go into uh, someone's grave. They don't steal the whole body. What they do is they find the body, and then they take a hacksaw, and usually they take the femur of the corpse, and they take about 5 inches of the femur, just take a chunk off the femur, and then they put the body back in the grave. So yeah, they desecrate the grave and the dead for that little piece of femur. And then they take that and then they put it through the machines, or back then they would do it by hand, of course, and make it into fake nails for these special subset of players that value this stuff. It is said that if you use fake nails uh, to like made of human bones to play, then your instrument would be imbued with the essence of the spirit. Your music would be so enchanting that you are almost sure to be a superstar. Like your music would enslave people. There had been a lot of creepy stories about uh, people who have fake nails made of human bones. They said one of the stories that I heard before is That's a musician who have a set of these. He has a set of these fake nails made of human bones, and he said he when he played, after he played and took them off his fingers, he put them back in the box. And when you put them back in the box, you put them uh, the back of the nail facing up, the back of the nail facing up, and you put them back like so like the concaved part of the nail facing down, the back of the nail facing up, and then you put them out in a row. So there's 10 of these nails. You arrange them all in a straight row. And he said next time he opened the box, all the nails were turned over. So they were bottom up and they were separated into two separate, separate 5 finger each, like almost like two ghostly hands just looking at him from the box. So that's just one of those creepy, really creepy story with regard into these human bone fake nails for playing the gulching. Um, the origin of the gulching also has a bit of tragedy linked to it. Uh, Actually, gulching throughout history has been linked to tragic endings and tragic stories because, as I said, sometimes musicians would actually get killed when they refuse to play because of these rules. So, just that alone tell you the people that died because of this instrument. Even way back in the beginning, originally the guqin only had strings, 5 strings. About about 3,000 years ago, when the first emperor of the Zhou dynasty took power, he added 1 string, turning into 6 strings to commemorate his son. Uh, so what happened to his son? Uh, Prior to the uh, emperor of Zhou taking power, it was still the previous dynasty, the Shang dynasty. So the last emperor of Shang was quite a brutal tyrant, and he heard that the Duke of Zhou, who at that time was still just a duke, he didn't rebel and then become the emperor at that time. So he was the Duke of Zhou, had a son. His elder son was extremely accomplished as a guqin player. This young man was good looking, was good with his sword, was great at his uh, art and poetry, but he was mostly known for his guqin skill. So the emperor of Shan summoned the Duke of Zhou's son, the elder prince, into the palace, into the imperial palace, to play for him. Well, because like I said, he's a brutal tyrant. You can't really say no. So the young man went into the palace to with his guqin to play for the emperor. But because he is such a good-looking young man, and his music was so devastatingly nice, the queen fell in love with him. And I guess you guys can see where this was going. The queen tried to seduce him, and the queen actually said to him, "Can you teach me how to play?" Now, at that time, guqin was primarily a man's instrument. Like no women played it. Women play other string instrument, but not guqin. So this young man, he was only like 18 years old. He didn't really know all the devious seduction, all that stuff that women could bring to the table. So he thought the queen really wanted to learn how to play. So he tried to teach her how to play. Uh, and then while they were playing, she said to him, she said, I don't learn very well. I can't see what you're doing. Like, because when I'm sitting across the table from you, I can't make like what you're doing is like totally backward. Your right hand is to my left, and then my your left hand is to my right. So I can't learn that way. Can I watch you play? Can I watch you play by sitting in your lap? This way I can actually see your fingers, your hand playing. Like I said, this young man was not very experienced, and he thought what she said made sense, and he said yes to it. Well, let's just put it this way. Just as she sit in his lap, nothing actually happened. She was sitting in his lap, and the emperor came in. And long story short, young man got executed for seducing the queen, even though it was really the other way around. Um, and that pissed off the Duke of Zhou, so he rebelled and overthrew the empire and all that stuff. It was long, broad, really bloody battle that we'll cover in some future episodes. So, when the Duke of Zhou, now the Emperor of Zhou, because he just took over the empire, took power. He added one string to the gulching to commemorate his son. And then, after he passed on, he because his elder son died, so the throne went to his second son. The second son added yet another string to the gulching to commemorate his older brother. This is why the gulching you see today have seven strings. Originally only had five, but because this young man got killed, his father added one string, and then when his father passed away, his younger brother took the throne, added another string. Both of them wanting to commemorate him because he died trying to teach a queen to play the gulqin when her mind was not really on the gulqin to begin with. So there you have it. That's a long, bloody history, twisting, full of dramas and trials and bloody execution. Long history of this beautiful Chinese instrument uh, that you hear in Chinese music all the time. Uh, Hopefully, this episode was entertaining, and we'll be back again tomorrow for some Toy Thursday. Now I got to go uh, clean house with Kitten. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.